Here we are with Miss Mary Spence, and we're going to be talking about the experience, the black experience, through the eyes of some Carroll Countyans. Miss Spence, could you tell us where you grew up at?
Where I was born at?
Yes, ma'am, where you were born.
I was born down Liberty Road, right above the dam, in 1912. And I grew up, we stayed there until I was, I guess, about 8 years old. Then we moved, my father built this house back on the road they call Snowden's Creek Road. And back over there, he built this house, and there's where we lived. We lived there until, well, we lived there until 1920, I guess, 22, something like that. But we grew up there. We went to school, the oldest ones of us. We went to school at Johnsville. Johnsville Schoolhouse, on Schoolhouse Road in Johnsville. And we had to walk from where we lived to Snowden's Creek Road, all up Liberty Road, and cross fields. That's all built up now, and all cross fields as much as we could to call ourselves doing a easier route to get to school. So we'd walk to Johnsville, to the school. And after we'd get there, because some of the older boys would have to make the fire in the stove, and some would be cold, some wouldn't, but everybody would have to help to get the school room cleared up. The boys would bring in the wood, the girls would sweep the floor, get ready for the teacher to come in. And our teacher was Miss Slaughter Collins, a great old lady. And after you walked from home up there to school, boy, you was tired out. You really didn't feel like no lessons or nothing. But we always had to go through whatever little grade we was in, and she would teach us. And I don't know, school would let out by 2:30 or 3 o'clock. Well, here we'd have to travel back down the road to get home. And we didn't have no trouble on the road in the later years. After got up a little age, maybe 9 or 10, going up the road we'd travel. And this house is sitting there in the same place where it used to be, but I look at it every time I pass there. Looks like a nice little, pretty little white house sitting there. And this lady, I knew after we got grown, she had a paw parrot. And she put this paw parrot on the porch. Here we would come, whole drove of us. And then this poor paw parrot, here come the niggers, here come the niggers. And one guy named Carl Sarge Hart, he was older than what the rest of us was. Oh, if I just could kill that bird. Y'all, he would tell us before we got there, y'all, be quiet, don't make no noise. But we'd be quiet as we could, walking through the stones and things up the road. And here, every morning, here we come. And here this old paw parrot would holler, look like until we all got out of sight, you know. Crossed over the fields and on over, across up there, Johnsville. And I say, you wouldn't even know the place now if you do. It's hard to describe what we had to go through. We passed a little white school right there on Oklahoma Road, and see the white kids gathered there, but that wasn't no place for us. We had to travel on to Johnsville. So them was hard days. Because then after you got back home, you change your clothes, you got the wood to bring in, the water to tote, help Mama with the supper, get the oil in the lamps, and then get your homework done. I mean, that was, what was our life. That's all we knew to do, and we had to do.
How about church? Could you tell us
Oh,
anything about church?
yeah, well, but I was walking, that's another thing, church. We used to come up to Johnsville to the little church they had there in Johnsville. After walking every day through the week, home on Saturday, Sunday, if whatever was going on at Johnsville, we had to get out there and walk up there for Sunday school and for church. Then walk back home just like we would any other day. And the only time when we go to West Liberty, our home church had been our home church because it was my grandmother and grandfather's church, and then my mother's church, you know. And but we only could get there certain times because back in them days, maybe you just had a minister to come one Sunday a month, something like that, maybe to give you your communion, and then you wouldn't see him no more until the next month. So my father had this old horse named Brooks, and he had a buggy, and he put us in the buggy, and over to, when it was something big day, my mother would know would be going on over to Carroll County, over to West Liberty Church. We'd get in this buggy, a whole bunch of us early in the morning, and travel over there to church and stay there for the all-day service. We'd stay there until everything was over, you know. So, and then we had the little old horse, get in the buggy and go on back home. Oh, them were the days. Them were the days. Yes, indeed.
Now, they have camp meeting at church and things like that. Was that like the social thing for you all to not?
Yeah, they used to have camp meetings, but sometimes, you know, we was, by being so far away, and if we didn't have the old horse had worked all the week, you know, Papa would say the horse got to rest, you know, and we wouldn't go nowhere like on a Sunday. Mm-hmm.
So you lived in Carroll County all your life?
Off and on, off and on. I think it was in about 22 or 23. My father, he knew some people that lived in Ardmore, Pennsylvania. And he went there and stayed there, I don't know how long. But anyway, he got a job, and he rented this house. There wasn't nothing for him to do but come back home and tell Mom where we was going. We were going to a place called Ardmore, Pennsylvania. But then he had this old truck. I don't know what year it was. An old Ford truck. And he gathered us up and packed up and moved to Ardmore, Pennsylvania. And I was, I guess, about 12 or 13 when we moved up there. And I say, Lord, have mercy. And from that time, we stayed there until I guess about 29 or 30. And my father, he got sick. And he said, well, I'm going back home. And Mama, she had this little job, and she was working. Well, here we were. Pop went home, and they gave up the little house, and Mama, she moved back home. Well, I stayed there with my sister for a while, and then Pop got sick, and we all went home to be with Mama and them, and Papa died in 32. Well, from 32 until I guess about 35, 36, something like that. I guess I called myself grown then, so I went back to Philadelphia. So stayed there for a while, and there's where I got married at. So, and 39, moved back down home, down here in Carroll County. Well, things was a little better than what they had been, but we never had no trouble with the race, you know. Only thing I can remember was these old paw parrots when they would holler that we were coming, you know. But we never had no trouble with, you know, the white folks, because Mama, she worked for him, Papa. He had this, we had this little tenant house there in the banks of Carroll County, Liberty Dam, and it was a nice dirt road, and we walked from, after they built the house back over in, on Snows Creek Road, well then we walked on out that road and on up Liberty Road and cross fields and banks and everything to get to where we had to go. And store, we never knew how much, never knew what it was to go to store. Because it was the old grocery man that lived down in Harrisonville, down around, Harrisonville. And he he used to come every week to this farmhouse where my mother worked. And when the lady there at that house would put in her order for what she wanted at the store, well, then Mama, whatever we needed, she'd put her order in. And he would bring, if he come like on Monday, well then he'd come back up maybe on a Wednesday and bring the groceries and things for what they would want, you know. And that was old Mr. Kelly. His name was Kelly. But whatever Mama would need at the store, 'cause we never had to run and go to the store. Didn't know what it was to go to the store until we got grown, to tell you the truth. So them was the days. And then when he would bring the flour, the sugar, whatever Mama needed, well, he would bring it, and she would pay him, whatever it was, and then she'd have to get Papa get the horse and buggy to bring the stuff back home to her, you know. Yeah.
Now, I hear people use the word hucksters as far as like people that would come around.
Oh, yeah, every once in a while.
Sell things to people.
Yeah, and the later people, hucksters, would come around with their vegetables and corn and stuff, but we never had no trouble to buy nothing like that because we had all this land back there, and Papa raised his own vegetables, potatoes and onions, the string beans, peas, lima beans. He did all his gardening. And then we got so he used to have so much, he would take it into Baltimore at the Lexington market. And I never did know how much he would get for the food he would carry in there to the market for the people to sell. But he carried it to the market, and the man there, whoever was in there, you know, grocery man, would buy the food from him. That was way back when. Yes, indeed.
As far as like when you were growing up, what kind of things did you kids do to play? Did you like? Do you have some memories about that?
Oh yeah, we used to play baseball, dodgeball, tag, jump the rope. Yeah, we did all those little things. Yeah.
Now,
yeah, after we went to school over here in Johnsville, well, you know, they got so they had to have games, you know, basketball and dodgeball, and we used to have a good time doing that. Yes, indeed.
And as you got older and went to work, did you have problems as far as finding a job in Carroll County?
I never had no trouble. No, because of after I was married and moved home, my husband, he was sick, and he had to go to Henderson to the hospital there. So I got this job down in Roundstown. The name of the people was Smith. And I worked there for, oh, Lord, I don't know, 10 to 12 years, I guess. Because just both there, I raised two of the children. And then would get home and come back home for the bus would run from Roundstown on to Westminster. And it would let me off at the bridge, Snow's Creek Road, and get off there and walk home. And and then that was our day. But I worked, and I never had no trouble. Well, all I did was like housework until I went to Henderson. I went to Henderson in 42. January of 42 was my first job in Henderson. Mm-hmm.
So over the years, have you seen changes in Carroll County?
Oh,
I mean,
my Lord, yes, my God, there's so much changes. So many changes. We can't even describe even going down, even from here to Liberty Road anymore. I'm telling you, it's something else. It's something else. Because even after we moved back in here in 59, well, this was all dirt road back in here. And we had good neighbors next door, the Dotsons. Well, he was the one that, he worked at the Henderson as a painter. And this time we was talking, I said, well, we was living in State House down there, and I said, well, Spence is going to retire, and we're going to have to move from the house down there, and I got to find some place to go. So I was just talking to Mr. Dotson. He said, well, that place right next to me is going to be sold, and they got it up for auction. So maybe you can come and see about that. So I told Spence about it, and he said, well, wherever you want to go, it's all right with me. So in talking, James let me know when the auction was going to be on a Saturday. So got this old lawyer, and she, what was her name? What was that old girl's name? I forget her name now. Noah. No, it wasn't Noah. I forget her name. But anyway, she was my lawyer. She was my lawyer and the lawyer for the people that was wanted to sell this ground. That was, that was selling the ground. So we come up here that Saturday and bidding on the ground. So she was called herself bidding for me. Kept on bidding. And so he said, oh, auctioneer, how about the 2,000? And I hollered, 2,000. Get another price. 2,050. Gone. That's what we paid for 7 acres of ground here. And that was in about 58, I guess it was. And then a friend of mine at church, she said one Sunday after church, she said, Spence, come on, let's go to Simonia Fair. I said, girl, I don't know. Oh, yeah, we go over there for a little while. She's bringing her children. Bring your children and come on. Okay. So, got my little girls together and over to Simonia Fair we went. And got over there and seen this little building, and it says anybody got their own ground can come and see about in a house that they want. Pick out a plaque that you want for your home, and we'll come and build it. Well, that sounds so good, So I went on in there and signed up and got the these builders come here and put up, they put up 4 rooms. 4 rooms, yeah, they had the kitchen and dining room. Oh, we had dining room and living room all together, and 2 bedrooms. That was our first beginning here. So, never had no trouble with anybody. So everything had went along fine for us. Thank the blessed Lord. Hmm. Yes, indeed. So, ain't been. It wasn't nothing easy. 'Cause I worked at Henderson and didn't get but so much money, back then. And the lady where I had been working, she was giving me $7 a week, wash, iron, cook, clean, babysit, and everything. And that's what I got, $7. Well, that was it. So when I told her I was leaving, I don't know why you leave him here. You're going down that old hospital, she says, and you'll be all full of TB. I said, I ain't getting no TB. Well, yes, you will, 'cause that's the easiest thing to catch. I said, well, I'm going. Well, I'll give you $1 more. I said, no, I'm going. So I left there and went on back home and stayed there. Well, it was back and forth to Henderson because my husband was there. And then stayed there, and that was in 1940. And then I stayed there, and then I got this job in Henderson in 1942, January 42, when I started down there. And I worked there from 42 until 72, 82, something, 72, I guess it was. Anyway, that was my life there. And after leaving the house from down there, well, after we got this built here and moved from Henderson up here, well, that's where we've been for the last 50 years, I guess. Let's see now. We moved here in 1960. So we've been right here ever since. Mm-hmm.
So where was one of your favorite places to go in Carroll County? Did you have a favorite place? I know you said you didn't.
No, we didn't have no favorite place. We just, up here to church and back round home, that's as far as we ever got. Okay. Mm-hmm. We'd come up here to church and in the Johnsville church and school and back home, and that was it. Oh, yeah, we didn't have no recreations or nothing like that.
You kind of made your own recreation.
Made our own, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, neighbors' children and all played together. That's back over there where my sister lives now. It was, the Parkses and the Parkses and the Williamses, and all of us was back in there together. Mm-hmm. They had 4 and 5 children, 4 or 5 of us. We'd make our own games and play whatever we had to play, do whatever we had to play. Where are you going?
You're going to take mine.
Oh, excuse me. So it ain't been a hard life. It's been a good life. I thank God for every step of the way. Yes, indeed. Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed.
What do you see, like, say, the difference between when you were growing up in Carroll County and now? Is there a difference, or is everything still the same? Or what?
Oh, no, indeed, it's nothing the same. Nothing the same in Carroll County, not anymore. That's goodness. Years ago, we never had all these, these different stores. What all these stores out here we got? Drugstores. Now the last thing ain't been a year ago, they put up this green wall. Great big, what we would call just a little drugstore years ago. Great big place. And all the shopping centers we had, we didn't have nothing like that. We had one store at the corner of, come out of Johnsville Road, and there was a store on each corner of the road. And there's where if your mother needed something from the store, there's where you'd run in. But just this one store we could go into, and maybe she would need some sugar for tea or something for that day. You go in there and get your little sugar and walk on down the road with it. But and there wasn't no other store until she put her list in for the grocery man to come in. He would come up the road. So, and now all these shopping centers where you can go in and pick up whatever you want and put up there and pay for it and come on out. We didn't have nothing like that. No, indeed. No, indeed. No, indeed. I'm telling you, it's a different world. They're all together different. Yes, sir. And even back over in here, when we first come up in here, well, at the Rubottom's house, and the Dotsons, and Mr. Charlie Dutton up here on the hill. That's all. They're the only black folks back into here. But now, we're all mixed in here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I had how much 9 acres of ground, and I sold 6 of them on that side of the road, and then that left me with 3.5 over on this side of March Road. Mm-hmm. But there ain't nothing even back in here in the last years that we've been here. From, say, the 60s up until now, it's been a great change. Everything different. Don't seem like the same old place. And to tell people about it now, how we lived when we first come up in here, it's a world of difference. Mm-hmm. Well, it's been a good life, though, thank God. Mm-hmm.